Representative Scott Perry, Republican of Pennsylvania, a member of the Homeland Security Committee, also a member of the Foreign Affairs Committee, here to talk to you till 8:30. Jim from Lyford, Texas. Jim on our Republican line. Good morning.
Hey, Jim.
Good morning to everybody up there. I just feel that you guys are doing a real good job in the Republican Party so far. You need time to get all this done. But I've got one thing to say. These Democrats that are calling are saying that they're not informed about this Homeland Security bill, the way it's going to be not funded. You remember what happened with Obamacare, where Jonathan Gruber said 6 or 7 times on videos about those people that supported that act, the Obamacare Act? Well, I think it's coming to face right now again. And as far as the immigration reform, these people that are calling and saying that it's okay, they just don't have an idea. I live down here in the South Texas area. The fraud to our Social Security system, to our disability benefits, to everything that's going on with benefits as far as federal. You come down here, those people need to have this kind of atmosphere in their area so they can understand the immigration reform that they're trying to help support Obama. I think Obama, 22 times he mentioned that he didn't have the power to go unilateral. Well, you know what it was? It was all about the Latino vote. Somebody said it real clear earlier that it was about the Latino vote, and that's what it was. I'm not a supporter of Obama. I never would be a Democrat. I'm a Republican by heart, serve my military in good faith, with honor, and I'll tell you what, you guys keep the good work up.
Jim, thank you. First of all, thank you for your service. You know, just to remind everybody, members of Congress, we represent both Democrats and Republicans, and I do wonder about the 20-some times that the president said that he could not do this, and then he decided to do it anyhow, and I wonder about the timing as well. And I'm a person, my mother is Colombian, so I understand maybe some of these issues, but at the end of the day, this, to me, is about the Constitution. And if you're going to take the oath to uphold and defend the Constitution, and the Constitution states very clearly whose job it is to legislate, especially on immigration, then you have a duty to do something about that. And so with all due respect, we represent all views as best we can, and it's imperfect, but we're going to get somewhere on this thing, I think.
Your mother's Colombian.
She is.
What do you think about these efforts, or what does she think about these efforts?
Well, I will tell you that growing up, of course, my mother speaks Spanish fluently, but she said to my brother and I, she said, you will speak English, you're in America, you speak English, and she didn't teach us Spanish. And she believes in being an American, is what she believes. And she, of course, has her heritage, but she's an American through and through, and she expected her sons and her daughter to be Americans as well, and she expects all Americans to be the same.
Rafiq, Fort Meade, Florida, Independent Line. Hi.
Hey, Rafiq.
Hi, good morning. Good morning, Mr. Scott. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, sir. How are you?
Pretty good. Listen, one of the things is I have to say that I understand that Congress has a tremendous job to do, but here's my problem. My problem is that, we saw a divided government, and when the Democrats had the reign of the Senate and the Congress, we keep blaming them that they didn't have things done. What we forgot is that in the Senate, the Republican had the right to block all these bills. The bills never get a chance to come up. So now the Democrats get the blame for that. Here's my question to you, very simple question as a congressman.
Yes.
Please answer to us. As somebody who, have military in my family, I would like to know what part of the Constitution did the president break that we are now putting the security money into question with this bill? Explain to us at what part of the Homeland Security bill is connected to this president breaking the law. Please.
Okay, so Rafiq, very specifically, Article 1, Section 8, and Article 2, those two, Article 1, Section 8 says that the Congress, the legislature, deals with immigration laws very specifically, and Article 2, the president's good faith clause to uphold and defend the Constitution and the laws. Those two things in tandem, or actually individually, are what most Americans that disagree with his actions are buttressing their claim on. They hold up the Constitution and say, it says right here in black and white that this is the purview of the Congress and that the President will faithfully execute the laws. And so those are the two items. That's where the foundation of the argument exists.
The President met with congressional leaders at the White House yesterday, and part of his opening statements talked about areas possibly where he could work with Republicans, talked about a variety of areas.
Right.
Want to play that, a little bit of what he said, and see where you might find agreement.
Okay.
I think that there's going to be opportunities for us to work together on trade. There's going to be opportunities for us to work together on simplifying the tax system and making sure everybody's paying their fair share. There are going to be opportunities for us to streamline government so it's more responsive. And on each of these issues, I'm going to be listening to everybody around this table, and I'm hopeful that with a spirit of cooperation, putting America first, we can be in a position where at the end of this year we'll be able to look back and say we're that much better off than we were when we started the year.
Any areas of agreement you found there?
Well, I think trade and trade promotion authority is something that the President is discussing in particular, and it's something that his party, he's actually kind of working cross-current from his party, so that's interesting, but I think there might be some opportunities there. Certainly on taxes. We have a tax system that makes us uncompetitive with the rest of the world. Now, when he says he's willing to work with us on it, I think both Democrats and Republicans in the last Congress, Senate and House, really wanted to get to tax reform, but it was my understanding that the President wanted about $1 trillion in new revenue to the federal government to agree to something. If that still stands, I think it's going to be difficult, but I think everybody acknowledges that our tax system is broken. I am concerned when he says that everybody needs to pay their fair share, because I kind of hear that as code for somebody that's doing well, that's been successful, that's worked hard, must pay for more just because they have been successful. I think it needs to be fair, period. But that's kind of in the eye of the beholder. And certainly with reform and excesses, I think there are places that all of us can agree that there are excesses in government, and we can work together to fix those things.
Because you sit on the head of a committee that looks at those issues specifically for Homeland Security, what would you target, or what are you planning to target?
Well, look, we want to make sure that every dollar that is spent efficiently. We understand as taxpayers that the government needs money to do the things that they need to do and that we agree with, and Homeland Security provides for the security of the homeland. But when we see some of the excesses of spending, for instance, there's a contractual agreement with agreements with the construction of a place called St. Elizabeth, which is the new headquarters for Homeland Security. The amount of money that's being spent on that, billions of dollars, and some of the things that have been done there and are being done there, the problems with the contracting and so on and so forth. Taxpayers don't appreciate those kind of things. Certainly the contractor's willing to do whatever they're told to do, and they'll take the money, but it doesn't need to be so opulent, and it doesn't need to take so long, and it doesn't need to cost so much, and that's where I think most Americans would say, look, we need a headquarters that is appropriate for this agency, that fosters collaboration and efficiency, but that's not what we're seeing here. We're seeing a pile of money go to a few folks, and the taxpayers are being fleeced over a long period of time, and that needs to be fixed. So that's one thing in particular that we're going to be taking. It actually happened over the last 2 years. The prior chairman, Mr. Duncan, took a look at that, but we're just going to continue down that path because there are some gains to be made there.
Do you know when your first hearing will take place and what the topic will be?
I think the next hearing, or the first hearing under my purview, will take place next month, and it'll just be reorganization. So what right now we're looking at is the list of topics that we might get into. So we're really focused on fraud, waste, and abuse in that agency, and then go from there.
Charleston, South Carolina.